Cafe Roadster build with my Rearset install. The parts did come in. Let's get them installed plus one shout out. Let's get cracking. Good moto morning, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Kraken's Garage. I'm your host, Eric, and on Kraken's Garage, we discuss all good things on 2 and 3 wheels, plus some scooter and mini moto content as well. On today's episode, we're going to install the highly anticipated rear sets, and they are going to basically be foot controls that shift your feet back away from the mid controls. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of that as we go along. We're also going to give one shout out at the very end, so I hope you stick around to find out who today's shout out is for as well. Oddly enough, the sticker doesn't state the country of origin on where the parts come from, which I find bizarre. These are discontinued, so anybody that wants to buy this kit from Harley Davidson, you better get one while they're hot, because once they're gone, they're gone. Kind of like the clip-ons that I put on my bike as well. So let's get opening it. I ordered these and they didn't take too long to get here. Came here actually pretty quick, so I was pretty happy about that. We've got a load of parts in here. Believe it or not, this kit weighs 10 pounds. So it's quite portly, to put it mildly, when we're trying to reduce weight. So something to think about if you're thinking about going with this type of build. So I'm gonna get set up with the bike in the center of the garage, wheel my tools over, and we'll get started. We're gonna do a time lapse because there's not enough people doing this type of conversion to their Roadster to make it worthwhile doing a how-to tutorial when it'll only help 6 people globally. So it'll be just a tutorial, and I'll share some random thoughts that have crossed my mind over the last week or so. This part number is 5070040. I will have a link to it down below to Harley's website. I will post the directions up if you would like to pause and read them for the installation as we go. So let's get to it. I'll show some more detailed pictures up front, up in the corner here, but the kit was very problematic to install. The first thing that kind of struck me when I opened up the box was the heft and weight of the box. The entire rear set kit is all made out of hard steel, very heavy. So I was kind of shocked about that. Had I known that, I probably would have gone with a Woodcraft, something made out of billet aluminum or something like that to help keep the weight down, but it is what it is. The mid controls that came on the bike were basically right around here, and the problem is when you're paddling the bike around the garage or a parking lot or something like that, these peg feelers stick out. They're quite prominent and they would jab you in your calves. It was really annoying. After about the 100th time, I'm like, those have got to go. The idea behind them is when you're hiked over and in the twisties, they let you know that you're reaching the limits of the lean angle of the bike. So that said, the Harley Davidson OEM rear set kit comes with them as well. In fact, they swap some of the parts from the existing mid controls and incorporate them into this kit. We still have them, but they're not quite as bad as far as when you're moving around. Now, I always get a lot of questions about, my gosh, that bike has got to be uncomfortable. To those of you that have never ridden over in that hunched over position, you need to try it before you frown upon it. And what I mean by that is when you're sitting in what I call the Boy Scout crapping position, you're sitting up, every single bump that you feel shoots right up your spine. When you're hunched over, you're using your abdominal muscles to keep your weight off your wrists and your palms, and when you take an impact, you're actually just raising and lowering your haunches versus your spine taking the impact. So it's actually quite comfortable. So if you get a chance to ride a cafe type bike, you ought to give it a try. Just change your mindset and you might enjoy it. I have taken it out on its shakedown ride and I have them adjusted to where they kind of work for me. Also, another perk when you have a rear sets, I'm able to fold my legs up into a triangle and fit on the bike a little better. As being, 6'4", it's problematic for me to fit on most bikes, to the point of your knees sometimes approach hitting the handlebars. So that's a huge bonus points for me. Last piece to the puzzle is to do the tin swap on the tank, and I'm looking forward to putting this beauty on. She's drop dead gorgeous. You have some knee pads to grip the tank when you're in that hunched over position, and it's a beautiful paint job. That's going to be an involved process putting that install in, because I have to do some jumper cables and electrical work to get the fuel sender to play nice in the sandbox with the OEM stock digital gauge, digital and analog gauge, the analog part being the RPM. So that's coming up next, and then this bike is done. I just have to do some final adjustments on the rear suspension. I don't know if I'm going to take it any further, meaning Öhlins shocks and Öhlins springs in the front with adjustable. I'll give some final thoughts when I get it complete and I'm able to put a couple 100 miles on it, and then we'll talk about that at that time. In other news, I've finished my helmet holder floating shelf that I'm going to install on my back wall in my studio. This is the first tier, and then I'm going to kind of jigsaw puzzle it up around my board with the next tier and work its way around to house the helmet. So it's nothing nice, but it gets the job done. One of the beauties of living in a log home is it's very rustic, and I'm not looking for furniture quality items in my garage. My house is very rustic. I jokingly say you could throw an axe anywhere in any room in this house and it would add character to the house. You know what time it is, folks. To all my end watchers, this week's shout out goes to HOCKOMUCH MOTOVLOG. Jeff has 66 subs. He has 36 videos out. And I should note, he does all of them from his cell phone. So for Christmas, his wife got him a Cena camera voice recorder to hook up to his helmet, so he's looking forward to getting started on that. He started his YouTube channel about a year ago with high hopes of doing interviews of other motorcyclists and hearing about their story and their adventures and how they got into it and things of that nature. Jeff put himself under a lot of pressure. He said, I'm going to do a video XYZ every week, this time, this date, whatever. He hasn't been able to meet that criteria. Winter came. He hails from Massachusetts. He's up by Mike Well Bike, who's only about a half hour, 40 minutes away from him. And inclement weather is a serious challenge up in his neck of the woods. And he also just had a brand new baby daughter that he's very excited about. So if you would congratulate him for his daughter down below, I would appreciate it. So I've been kind of talking to him on the side and saying, Jeff, you got to lighten up on being so rigid and saying, all right, I'm going to do this on this time. Just tell your story and your journey and when you can get to it. You have a full-time job, you have a brand new baby in the family, and you're trying to run a household, and trying to do YouTube is no joke. That's a full plate. So when you get to it, you get to it. Just take smaller bites and do 4 or 5 minute videos. People appreciate not having such a long video to watch like this one. That's my gentle advice to you, Jeff. If everybody would go check him out, I would greatly appreciate it, and give him some supportive comments and suggestions to help him on his moto journey. He's a hell of a good guy. If you like him and you subscribe to him, please let him know that Kraken sent you. I hope my shout out helps you, Jeff. And there's my ghost dog Bullet. He's here to remind me to wrap up this video. If you would like to become a Patreon, the link is listed down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button right down there in the corner. And remember, folks, go riding. It's good for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.